Funka extend greeting and appreciation to all viewers who have come to 24 Hours Channel. Thank you for joining us in the news program. Today we will update the hottest and most accurate news about the social and political situation in the country and the world. Now let's dive in the highlight of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, the calamity continues to strike China as yesterday, in the city of Wuhan, Hubei province, a giant tornado approximately 49 meters high appeared, moving at an incredibly fast speed. The epicenter of the tornado had a dizzying intensity, and wherever it passed, the location turned into ruins. It was reported that yesterday, after the giant tornado appeared in Wuhan for about an hour, 16 minutes, and 48 seconds, it swept away a small dam on a branch of the Yangtze River and destroyed 1,700 houses along with many other structures, including the Wuhan hospital, which had treated over 600,000 COVID-19 patients in the area, leaving Wuhan now resembling a wild desert. It is known that millions of Chinese citizens fled in panic to escape the disaster. They ran to neighboring countries such as Laos, Cambodia, and even Vietnam. According to a Wuhan resident, the damage caused by the tornado is immense and cannot be accurately assessed. However, the situation worsened when a small dam on a branch of the Yangtze River burst, causing the water to overflow into neighboring provinces such as Hubei, Sichuan, Yunnan, Guangdong, and Guangxi, resulting in even higher water levels. Wuhan residents reported that the catastrophe has submerged the entire provinces of Hubei and Sichuan, with water levels rising up to 7 meters and even 15 meters in some places. Tall buildings now have only their rooftops visible above the water. The famous Chinese tourist destination known as Phoenix Ancient Town is submerged up to 3 meters, causing great distress to Chinese officials. The government of Xi Jinping can do nothing but pray and repent for their sins. As they are now facing divine retribution, they cannot stop. Many believe that even if there were 10 Xi Jinpings, they still couldn't withstand the wrath of nature, and it appears that heaven itself is taking action to punish China on behalf of the world. This is because China has caused pain to the world, and now nature and earth are taking away tenfold from China. This is a profound lesson for the government of Xi Jinping, a greedy and oppressive leader who has shown no respect for international law and other nations in the world, and now they are facing punishment. Dear audience, according to China's Central Television CCTV yesterday, at 7:30 p.m. on June 24, 2023, in a program covering floods, landslides, earthquakes, tsunamis, heavy rains, and strong winds in the southern provinces of China, they mentioned the appearance of a massive black column of smoke about 50 meters high, sweeping away everything in its path in Wuhan. The Chinese government still can't believe their eyes that their economically booming city, the flagship of the Beijing government, has turned into a deserted wasteland in just 4 years since the first case of COVID-19 infection in this city. Now the city has become completely deserted, and now it has turned into a desert. The Chinese officials are still shocked and stunned. However, it seems that Xi Jinping's government and the officials of the Chinese Communist Party are not afraid of their past sins. Because yesterday, the media of this country still reported that Beijing's military is continuously providing a large number of planes, missiles, and ammunition to two battlefronts to strengthen its military presence, displaying its dominance and threatening the border regions of India and the offshore areas of the South China Sea during the flood season. Observers say that despite nearly 1 billion Chinese citizens living in poverty, facing homelessness, lack of food, and medicine, Xi's government continues to disregard their plight and shows no concern for their people. They are still conducting the Navy of Beijing, bringing warships, aircraft, and missiles close to Vietnam's Hong Sa archipelago in the offshore of the South China Sea for aggressive military exercises. This action is aimed at challenging the world and sending a firm message that despite facing heavy rains, strong winds, and thick fog, Xi Jinping's government remains stable, and China's military remains unaffected. They are still ready to fight, ready to provoke and engage in conflicts with India's military, aiming to occupy the world's most beautiful mountain range, the Himalayas. Furthermore, their government intends to seize more islands and territorial waters in the South China Sea for Beijing. This shows that the head of China's government, Xi Jinping, has not yet feared the punishment of nature, or his government pretends to be unafraid even when trembling inside to defy the world. Many analysts believe that now there is only one last way to defeat China. It is to destroy the Three Gorges Dam of China. Only when this dam breaks can China's government be swept away into the South China Sea. China's name will no longer appear on the world map, and at that point, Xi Jinping's regime will collapse, although currently, it remains fierce and oppressive. Ladies and gentlemen, it can be said that the continuous floods, landslides, earthquakes, and tsunamis in China for over a month have brought its economy to a standstill. Chinese newspapers reported yesterday that the floodwaters had reached the third floor of people's homes in the southern cities of China, forcing them to seek refuge on high mountains. The poor fled to other rural areas or sought refuge in foreign countries, while the rich fled abroad. However, the COVID-19 pandemic is still raging in some countries, so airports in several places around the world are still closed and have not reopened, leaving nearly 1 billion Chinese citizens in distress, not knowing where to go or where to return. In Kaijiang District, Trinken City of China, floodwaters have invaded a 5-story house, sweeping away many households and turning balconies into waterfalls. The cause was attributed to the constant flooding as water flowed from the upper reaches and lower reaches. The southern region of China is currently experiencing the most severe flooding in nearly 1,000 years. According to Xinhua News Agency, the Flood Control Commission of China issued an urgent warning as the flood at the number 1 station on the Yangtze River's Hongtu was at risk of breaking. The volume of water pouring into the reservoir of the Hongtu Dam yesterday reached a high warning level, up to 53,000 cubic meters per second. Meanwhile, the water level at the Lian Hoduong station on the Yangtze River approached about 31.7 meters. According to Xinhua News Agency, China's Emergency Management Department had to activate the highest-level emergency response mechanism to control the floods and the continuous heavy rain that has lasted for over a month. On the day before yesterday, on June 22, 2023, the Tam Heap Dam had to issue an emergency notice when gate number 3 was opened. This means that all 3 gates of the dam are now operating at full capacity around the clock to prevent flooding. However, according to observers, despite the 24/7 operation of all 3 gates of the Tam Heap Dam, floods, landslides, and collapses are still occurring in almost all 28 provinces in southern China. China Morning Post, one of China's famous newspapers, reported this yesterday. Water levels in over 300 rivers in China have exceeded the highest level warning, which is the red warning. China's Water Management Department revealed that from the beginning of the year until now, heavy rains have caused water levels in over 300 rivers in nearly 20 provinces of the country to exceed level 4 warning. According to information from China's emergency management and flood control authorities, both the southern and northern regions of the country have officially entered the main flood season. China's flood prevention and natural disaster relief efforts are now at a critical stage. Therefore, China decided to activate the Level 4 emergency response mechanism and send 2 task forces to provinces like Hubei, and Anhui to support flood control efforts. Meanwhile, the Statistics Bureau of China reported that since the beginning of the year, there have been 14 rivers in 19 provinces of this country with water levels exceeding the red warning, an increase of more than 400% compared to previous years. One of the most horrifying figures in China's history of floods is the rivers exceeding the warning level, mainly concentrated in June, accounting for about 193%. There are 293 other rivers with high warnings as the dikes are on the verge of collapsing. Some rivers in the southern provinces like Trinken and Sichuan have experienced the largest floods in nearly 1,000 years. The water volume in major rivers such as the Yangtze and the Yellow River is also higher, ranging from 90 to 150%. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a piece of news that is considered quite new and relevant to China's flood and drought situation. It is reported by an international newspaper that extreme weather, in the form of unexpected snowstorms, has occurred in China during the hot summer. This rare and unusual phenomenon has not been seen in mainland China for 1,000 years and is considered a very bad omen for China in 2022. The international newspaper stated that the Tanjiang area in China unexpectedly experienced a snowstorm with considerable intensity while the region was in the midst of a scorching summer. Xinhua News Agency has posted a video showing the city of Tanjiang covered in thick white snow in the middle of summer. It is known that this snowstorm caught Chinese officials by surprise, as many other regions in Beijing and the eastern part of China were experiencing intense heat and humidity. The snow layer was about 30–60 centimeters thick, with some places having up to 100 centimeters, especially in the high-altitude grasslands at 2,400 meters above sea level. Although this grassland has seen some snowfall in previous years during the summer, the current snowfall and its intensity are considered highly abnormal, as reported by China's Central Television. The snow has stopped falling, but there have been no reports of casualties related to the snowstorm mentioned above. The bad news for China is that the Central Meteorological and Hydrological Forecasting Center of the country has predicted that heavy rains, storms, earthquakes, and tsunamis will continue to occur consecutively in the next few weeks in the 28 southern provinces and cities of China. To be cautious, the public should remain extremely vigilant. However, it seems that the people have already fought hard and exhausted themselves, so now if floods occur, it may just submerge China. Ladies and gentlemen, dear audience, 2 dams in Hohhot, Inner Mongolia, northern China, have collapsed after heavy rains. In this city, 16,660 people were affected, and 21,774 hectares of farmland were submerged. On July 19th, the China Ministry of Water Resources reported that 2 dams in Inner Mongolia, northwest China, collapsed after heavy rains. This incident has highlighted safety risks from aging infrastructure during the flood season, according to Reuters. Both dams are located in Hohhot City, Inner Mongolia, and collapsed on July 18th. These dams formed reservoirs with a total water capacity of 46 million cubic meters. The China Ministry of Water Resources stated that residents living downstream of the dams have been evacuated, and the number of casualties is still unclear. A video shared on Chinese social media showed one of the dams completely washed away, causing nearby farmland to be submerged. People's Daily newspaper also published a video showing the dam breach. Over the weekend, Hohhot City received an average of 87 millimeters of rainfall, with the Morandawa observation station in the area receiving 223 millimeters. The local authorities in Hohhot City informed through WeChat that 16,660 people were affected, with 21,774 hectares of farmland flooded. Bridges and various transportation infrastructure were damaged. China has over 98,000 reservoirs used for flood control and electricity production. Harsh weather has affected various regions of China in recent weeks. Meanwhile, Europe is experiencing heavy rains and floods, while North America is facing record-breaking heat waves. This has raised further concerns about climate change. Heavy rains and thunderstorms temporarily suspended takeoffs and landings at Dachjiatrain Airport in Hebei Province, China. In this province, streets turned into rivers, and people clung to trees amid the rushing water. Flooding is occurring in many places across China, from Sichuan Province to Shanxi. On July 21st, the China's Central Meteorological Observatory forecasted continued heavy rainfall in a wide area of the northern and central regions of the country. In Wuhan City, Hebei Province, a resident named Mr. Neem shared with a reporter on July 21st. The rain is still heavy, the streets are flooded, turned into rivers. Shared videos showed severe flooding, with vehicles being swept away by the current, and elderly people trapped on the streets, seeking refuge by hugging trees in the rushing water. Heavy rains and thunderstorms in Hebei also resulted in several aircraft being unable to take off and land at airports in Dachjiatrain City, the provincial capital. In Hanshao City, Shanxi Province, media in China posted images of cars traveling through heavily flooded roads. Tanthan Town in Shanxi raised a red alert for heavy rainfall, the highest level. Meanwhile, the Beijing Meteorological Observatory forecasted an average rainfall of 60–100 mm in Beijing, which is close to Hebei Province, from 5 p.m. on July 21st to 8 a.m. on July 23rd. Beijing's flood control agency also warned that the city would experience the heaviest rainfall in the past 3 years. Normally, Beijing receives about 600 millimeters of rainfall per year. Global Times reported that Beijing had closed many tourist spots and issued emergency warnings to residents as the city was expected to endure continuous 30-hour rainstorms starting from the afternoon of July 21st. More than 70,000 people were affected by the heavy rains causing flooding in Baozhong City, Sichuan Province. Shared videos showed boats being swept away by floodwaters. According to China's Central Television, from July 9th to 20th, heavy rains occurred in Baozhong City, Sichuan Province, southwest China. Many videos and images were posted showing flooded houses and cars. Due to the impact of heavy rain and rising water levels in the upper reaches, more than 10 boats, including high-speed boats and tourist boats, were swept away while anchored on a section of the river in Tamjiang town of Baozhong City. Meanwhile, the town of Huangdan in Binswayan district experienced serious flooding. The floodwater destroyed handrails on the Huangdan Bridge, and the water level here reached its highest level in 10 years. Rescue teams are trying to bring people trapped in low-lying areas to safety. In Tantrong town, Dongjiang district, continuous heavy rains have caused landslides and increased water levels in the river. From 8 am on July 19th to 4 p.m. on July 20th, in Baozhong City, rainfall exceeded 50 millimeters at 16 measurement stations, 100 millimeters at 144 stations, and 200 millimeters at 11 stations. The highest rainfall was recorded in Vinan town, Dongjiang district, with 257.1 millimeters. According to the Baozhong City Flood Control Command, as of 8 p.m. on July 20th, 67 towns in multiple districts were affected. Heavy rains caused flooding, affecting 71,879 people, and directly causing economic losses of 108.9 million yuan, approximately 386 million Vietnamese dong. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chinese military has intentionally detonated a dam to discharge floodwater as it threatened one of its most populous provinces. This comes as the death toll from the flood has risen to at least 25 people. The death toll is expected to increase further as China performs dam releases. The dam release took place on the night of July 21st in Lakduong City, just as severe flooding inundated the provincial capital of Trinshao in Hubei province, trapping people in subway stations, schools, apartments, and offices. In a press conference, provincial officials revealed that an additional 7 people are missing. Transportation and various activities have been disrupted throughout the province, as heavy rains turned streets into rushing rivers, sweeping away cars and flooding homes. At least 10 trains carrying about 10,000 passengers were suspended, with 3 trains being halted for over 40 hours, according to Caixin magazine. The Ministry of Transport reported that some sections of 26 expressways were closed due to the rain. A power outage led to respirators at the Trinshao University-affiliated hospital, forcing staff to use hand-operated airbags to assist patients. Over 600 patients here are being transferred to other hospitals. Meanwhile, Typhoon Enfa weakened slightly on the morning of July 22nd in the Northwest Pacific Ocean as it affected regions in Japan. This typhoon is expected to strengthen and potentially impact Taiwan and parts of China later this week. In recent days, Trinshao City in Hubei Province, China, has experienced severe flooding and unprecedented harsh weather. Consequently, public attention in this country is largely focused on the situation here. However, there have also been numerous false and misleading information spread with the aim of seeking views, likes, and causing public confusion. Below are some of the factual inaccuracies that the local authorities have publicly clarified. On the evening of July 20th, a video was circulated on Chinese social media with the title claiming that crocodiles escaped from the Trinshao Aquarium. Some images were even cropped from the clip, showing crocodiles biting an unidentified female body. However, after verification, it was found that the video and images actually depicted an incident that occurred on June 21st in Mexico, where a woman was attacked by a crocodile while doing laundry by the river and unfortunately died. It is not difficult to recognize that the language used in the aforementioned video is not Chinese. Moreover, this video had been circulated on foreign social media platforms since the incident in Mexico. Additionally, on the evening of July 20th, another Forzacon video was spread with content asserting that the Huinduong Aquarium was severely damaged, and sharks had escaped and were struggling in the floodwaters on the streets. However, after verification, this video was also found to be a clip previously uploaded on foreign social media platforms. The original video was in Russian and lasted 6 seconds. After tracing the phone number in the video, it was evident that this incident actually occurred in Russia. The elements spreading false information used this video to create confusion among the Chinese public. The downstream of the Yellow River has a section with the riverbed even higher than the sea level of Trinchao City. However, this has not affected the city's water drainage system. Although Trinchao is located on the banks of the Yellow River, it belongs to the Huai River Basin. Due to its unique geography, all the rivers that flow through this city eventually flow into the Huai River, not the Yellow River. Therefore, the rumor that the Yellow River affects flood control efforts in Trinchao is untrue. Ladies and gentlemen, a landslide occurred in Tuxpan Province, southwestern China, causing 100 people to go missing. Chinese state media reported that over 100 people went missing after the landslide occurred in the early morning of July 24th in Tuxpan Province, southwestern China. Tianwen News cited information from local officials that over 40 houses in Mao District were destroyed. Rescue forces immediately launched search and rescue operations. According to local authorities, the landslide occurred at around 6 a.m. on July 24th, local time. Heavy rains caused rocks and soil from a mountain to rush down into Tianma village. Photos posted on People's Daily Twitter account showed excavators moving large debris in an effort to rescue those affected. The landslide happened in a mountainous area near the Dan River, known for its ancient stone forts, dense forests, streams, and valleys. Landslides are a constant threat to rural areas and mountainous regions in China, especially during heavy rains. This is not the first major landslide incident to occur in China this year. On June 22nd, 12 people were killed when 3,000 cubic meters of rocks and soil came down the slope behind a 3-story hotel in Hebei province.
The recent information concludes our news program. Thank you all for your attention and viewership. Please subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon and share the video so that more viewers can follow you. Goodbye and see you again in the next video.